Hello plant friends, my name is Victoria and you're watching Plantastics. We've all been there. We're watering or looking at our plants when we see it. It's a rice-like creature and it's a thrip. So what do you do when you have thrips? I'll show you what I do, and so far it's worked every time. So without further ado, let's roll the intro and get started. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be telling you what I normally do as a preventative, what went wrong, and what I'm doing now. So as a preventative, what I like to use are Bonide systemic granules. These are granules I put in the soil. Now these are absorbed through the plant and they make the plant toxic for thrips to feed off of. So if there's berries or flowers I purchase at the market that have thrips on them that I then bring into my house, those thrips that land on my house plants will eat that and die and be done. The only thing about Bonide systemic granules is that they do not last indefinitely, which means that you have to basically just add them in as you repot regularly. Well, what went wrong? I have been studying for the bar exam, and I'm happy to say that I have passed the February bar exam. Which matters why? It matters because I wasn't able to repot all of my plants on schedule and add in the new systemic granules, resulting in them being vulnerable to being bitten by thrips and not having that repellent in their system. Yeah, so I've got thrips. What am I gonna do? First of all, I need to make sure that I actually have thrips before going crazy mode. Many people, when they have thrips, they totally panic. I mean, who wouldn't panic? Their entire collection's on the line. So I'm gonna show you how I make sure it's thrips. Number one, I look at the leaves of my darkest foliage plants. So I'll show you one. This right here is the canary in the coal mine. And I noticed the thrips here first. It's very easy to notice them. So thrips, there's hundreds of different kinds. Some of them are white, some of them are brown, and some of them are black. So this only works on the white western flower thrip that we most often get here. They do feed and prefer flowers, but they will also eat foliage, as you're going to see. So I noticed it first because I saw 3 or 4 of them on this leaf. This is very dark foliage, and since these are western flower thrips, which are white, they contrast very well. So we have some damage here. It's not as severe as some of the others. It was really easy to see. So next I'm going to show you how I see if I really have thrips. Throughout my house I have these Zevo fungus gnat catcher traps. These are sticky traps with a blue light so it attracts whatever's flying in your house. As a side note, please don't put these outside, just in your house, okay? So I have these put throughout my house for one reason. If I have a thrip infestation, I want to see just how far they've gotten. They do have wings so they can fly. What I do is I flip this around and I look and see how many thrips I can see. Okay, so I'm going to get out my microscope, but I'm just going to show you roughly how great these are, and I'm going to have them linked below. So there are a variety of different creatures on here. Everything from fruit flies to fungus gnats to, unfortunately, a lacewing adult. Those are the things you want because they eat whatever's on your plants, whether it be aphids, thrips, spider mites. They're amazing. I did not release him. He just kind of got into the house. So if I look very closely, I can in fact see that there are thrips on here. There are not a ton. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look at the other fly traps throughout my house and see how many thrips I can see on those. And that's kind of how I'm able to assess how big of an infestation I have, or if it's just something small. This is the one from the kitchen. The one from the wall I'm gonna do next. Don't judge me, it's got a lot on here. So we can see all kinds of little things. I'm going to attach some footage of this one and the others and show you just how many thrips I can count on here. because they are so small. You need to be able to have something, whether it be a tiny microscope with a handheld thing that like plugs into your computer, which I'll have mine that I'm using in this video linked below, or you can also use your magnifying glass if you have one that's like 10 times magnification or more zoomed in than that. After I determined that I've definitely got thrips, I assess based off of all the information I showed you with the fly traps, and I look into what can I do about it. So step one is releasing predatory mites. If you've been to a greenhouse, you've likely seen these and you've probably wondered what they are. So what are they? They're predatory mites which eat the larval and egg stage of thrips. So they're great, but they're not going to do anything in terms of getting rid of the adults. And they can fly and just make more of themselves. So instead of just using one type, like this here, I like to use a blend of predatory mites. These are here because I release these every 3 months or so. I wait a week or two, and as I'm waiting during that week, I begin repotting everything, and I'm adding in new substrate and also the Bonide systemic granules. Why am I adding those? Because in the time that I'm repotting, a lot of the plants are going to be able to absorb that and be able to be toxic to the thrips. So in that way, I'm not killing my little predators that I've invested in, and I'm also taking care of the thrips. That's great, but sometimes that's just not enough. Okay, so I've used Bonide systemic granules and repotted every plant in my house. Now what? If I'm still seeing thrips, which I am, on the living wall, what I do next is I use Insecticidal Soap. Resistance happens when an insect comes into contact with something and it's not enough in terms of strength to knock it out. You can also spray incredibly heavily indoors and it's just not enough. You don't do it consistently enough and they come back better and stronger than ever. That's why I recommend completely dousing everything in insecticidal soap. Unlike pesticides, they're not going to build up an immunity or resistance to insecticidal soap. Thrips are a pest that everyone knows about because of how much damage that they can create. That's why it's so important to use things like the Zevo fly trapper, or looking at the dark foliage leaves, or even the lighter ones depending on what thrips you have naturally in your area, to see if you can spot them. The earlier you catch, the less severe your infestation is going to be. Something else I may not have mentioned is that I regularly release predatory mites every 3 to 4 months. In my deep study for the bar exam, I also skipped the repot and releasing predatory mites, which really just made this even more great for them. It was a great opportunity, and it also allowed me to share with you how I get rid of them. So just to recap, catch them early, check on all these different traps and foliage, look on the fronts and the backs, recognize the signs. Second, you're going to use repotting and Bonide systemic granules. You're going to put those granules an inch below the soil or in the very core closest to the roots. After that, you're going to take everything to your tub and spray it down tops and backs of the leaves with insecticidal soap. So thank you so much for watching, for supporting my channel, for purchasing through the links, as well as subscribing and sharing my videos. People like you are what helps my channel grow. And thank you as well for all the kind comments and congratulations I have received. As always, I'll be seeing you next time. Goodbye.